I am so thrilled to be here with the legend, Scott Hamilton.
Oh, my goodness.
You are a legend.
Well, you're the founder of Runway June, so, it's, come on. Let's, let's just, we can just gush.
To each their own, right?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you're like a true living legend.
That just means that I'm old, and the further away you get from something, the richer it gets. Have you ever heard a story told 1,000 times, and each time it gets a little bit bigger, a little bit broader, a little bit. I feel like that sometimes, but a lot of really cool things, like beyond anything I ever would have dreamed to happened, and a lot of nightmares that I never would want to experience happened. So it's just kind of one of those roller coaster things where, and it's it's like, well, cancer, that's terrible, or brain tumors, that was terrible, oh, the child is, that was terrible. What I've learned in my elder years is I can look back and I can understand that every single thing bad that happened to me was laying foundation for something phenomenal.
Oh, why are you going to cry?
It's phenomenal. No, but it's like, so people look at me as a disgusting optimist. Like, it's like, you feel like you can feel good about anything. It's like, well, yeah. It's like, yeah, I was in hospitals for 4 years as a child.
Because when you were 5, nobody knew what was wrong with you, right?
Yeah, all those years. And then 2004.
But did anyone ever figure out what was wrong with you?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, this is wild. So I stopped growing and developing from 4 to 8, pretty much, or 5 to 9, somewhere in that range,
Yeah.
But hospital, like, and back then they weren't like children's hospitals now where they're all the really cool colors and they've got toys and wagons and television and things like that. It's a bed and a chair in the corner.
So it's so scary.
Well, it's just, it's sterile, and it's like, it's, and so my mom would sleep in the chair like all the time. I have nothing but love and
you
love.
love your
love.
mom more than anything. She was the greatest person.
I dedicated most of my life to honoring her in every way I possibly can. But, so all those years, I don't grow, I don't develop, I don't do it. It's bad. And my parents were school teachers. So, they didn't have it's healthcare, so it's expensive and it's frightening and there's no answers. And first year in Ohio, Bowling Green, no answers. Go to a bigger hospital, Toledo. Year, no answers. Go to Ann Arbor Children's Hospital, University of Michigan. Year, no answers, except, they give you that, tracking the trajectory of this illness. We feel like he may have 6 months to live. And so, but then, it's like, why is it always 6 months?
It's always 6 months,
It's always
isn't
6 months, yeah. So it's like my mom was just really sweet. She goes, thank you so much. We're leaving. And we went to the biggest hospital, Children's Hospital, the biggest doctors, and that was Boston Children's. And it was there that I had every symptom of a disease called Shwachman-Diamond syndrome. Mm-hmm. And my doctor was Dr. Shwachman.
The guy who diagnosed the syndrome?
Yeah.
So he founded this syndrome.
My first celebrity I ever met, right? Because he had a disease.
Named after him.
That he named, right? But he couldn't prove that I had it. I had every symptom, but he couldn't prove that I had it.
What do you have to prove that you have it?
I guess it was a celiac thing. It was some sort of... there was a marker, a blood marker. We're talking now mid-60s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was basically bloodletting and, whatever back then. It was just there. It was people just making up as they went along. They didn't really have
the resources and the information they have now.
No, yeah. Now, I mean, they have like all this like whole body scanning and all these blood markers and all these like high-tech instruments to PET scans and all these things. They didn't have any of that back then. There was just kind of best guess, right?
Yeah.
So he just sent us home. He said, I can't treat something I can't diagnose. So go home and live a normal life and see what happens.
And he told you to start ice skating.
No. Our family doctor, who lived across the street 3 doors down.
Go home, see what happens after they say you have 6 months to live. That's a big, tall order.
Well, I mean, so,
so your parents were just like, are you just going to die?
No, they didn't know. I mean, I could tell that they were nervous, but, they did everything they could.
So that was your diagnosis, but then there was no treatment for it?
No, they only kept me on a supplement that it tasted like awful. Like, if it's now when you have children's medicines, you can go to like a pharmacy and they'll have like flavor of the month is like grape or bubble gum or something. The only flavor that supplement came in was chalk. Yeah, it was nasty. It was really, and it was very medicinal, kind of like it had that aftertaste. So I started like basically telling my mom that I was going to drink it in the bathroom in case I gag, and I'd just flush it down the toilet. I would not drink it. And so everybody was like, oh, for all we know, it's very dramatic. This is the only thing keeping you alive. And it's like, really? I feel fine. I may not be growing, and I may, have a lot of other issues, but
I'm not taking that chalk.
I'm not doing it. And so we came up with a compromise. Our family physician, again, across the street, 3 doors down, came over and he said, okay, I have a solution to this. So they put a tube up my nose, down my esophagus, and they would feed me that supplement through the tube so I never had to taste it again. And when I wasn't using the tube, I would tape it to the side of my face and put it over my ear. And then that's how I live my life. Because
how did that affect you as an adolescent growing up with friends and peer pressure and mentally and all that?
Well, I was still like almost 9. So, they knew I was different. But, our neighborhood was all kids my age. And so that was in the time where just get home before dark. So I go out and play and I do my thing. And I was always the shortest, the weakest, the sickest, kind of. I knew I was different than everybody else in my class. But so I started skating. And, you fall down, you get tailbone bruises, you get concussions, you get things like that, just growing up in a sport. And I played hockey for a minute, and I always joke that I played 3 seasons, but I joke that I played for 2 neck braces, so the second neck brace sort of was like, okay, we're done with this now.
Yeah.
And by then I was 12. But
you say like skating was when you, like you said, you had so many things going on that like was a level playing field for you?
Oh yeah, no, I realized I went and you hang onto the wall, you're in, and by then the rink was pretty new, so the rental skates weren't all broken down or anything. So I was able to kind of like figure out that I could let go of the wall and I could skate a little bit, and then I would go back and forth across, and then pretty soon I could make it all the way around the rink without touching the wall. And then pretty soon I realized I could skate as well kids. And then pretty soon I could skate as well as the best athletes in my grade. And I was like, ooh, wow, this is what self-esteem tastes like.
So that was your first real taste of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just felt like I could do something. I have an identity here. And so I just became a rink rat. And all those years, I started getting better physically. They attributed it to the cool, damp air because I had a little bit of a lung condition. And then I started building muscle and because I had a distended stomach, like I was starving, and I had no muscle like in my legs. And then pretty soon my legs started developing and the distended stomach, and I started processing food better, and things just started happening, and
so
it was miraculous.
Got your body flowing, I guess.
Yeah. But it wasn't until 2004, and this was post-cancer, chemo, surgery, all the other stuff, that I became really weird symptomatic, and they went in and they did a scan, and they found that I had a pituitary brain tumor. And they couldn't figure out how to treat it because they didn't know exactly what it was. So they had to go through and do a biopsy. And so they did the biopsy, and they told me going in, it goes, you have to understand that a lot of really bad things can happen if we seem to have found a safe corridor. And I was joking. I was like, I don't use any of it anyway, so have at it.
How old were you when you found this brain tumor?
I would have been 46.
Okay, so you recovered from your childhood illness. You went on to like have a huge skating career, and you're at the height of your career. The tumor came first, not cancer?
Yeah, what they found was when they did the biopsy, they found that I was born with it.
So you'd had that tumor your whole life.
Yeah, and what they found, what the type of tumor it is, it usually prevents growth and development early in a child's life.
So that's what it was.
Yeah.
So that chalk medicine really, did it help or anything?
No, it just, it was just a supplement kind of thing.
So the tumor that was there your whole life.
It stopped when I stopped. It stopped doing its mischief when I started skating.
Why was that?
I don't know. It could have been when I crashed Gary Ziegler's bike into a telephone pole and I went head first, and it could have killed the tumor then. I have no idea. It could have happened on the ice when one of my 2 or 3 concussions early. It could have happened any head injury like back then could have done it. I don't know, but it was
so the head injury would stop the tumor.
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out where, how, when. And
wow.
It just sort of was one of those things where all the years I skated, it didn't do anything. And then when I had when my wife and I had our first child, I just decided that after 20 years of touring that maybe I wasn't getting any better. and I'd spend 5 times the amount of training to get 5% of the return on investment. So it's like, who am I kidding? You know, it's like I can still skate and I can do things, and that's fine. But after 20 years of being on the road, I think I've earned the capacity and the opportunity to be a dad and be home. Because, you know, in the traditional, you know, kind of nuclear family, you know, the mom is the, you know, the kind of the hands-on nurturer and everything else. And I figured, well, I could be around his, you know, I could see his first steps. I could hear his first words. I could be, you know, and all those investments have really, you know, really paid off in the long run. You know, fast forward, when my son Aiden was a senior in high school, he said, "Dad, I need to talk to you about spring break." And it's like, ugh, this is going to be rough. Does he want to go to Sodom or Gomorrah? You know, I'm not sure where, but it's going to be bad and it's going to be like crazy. And I'm like, okay. And I'm always, you know, sort of like, I listen before I respond. And then
that's a good trait.
And then I'll tell him, here's why things aren't a good idea. And usually it's about a 2-hour discussion and wear them out, you know.
But that's really good that you have the conversations and you get to the root of the issue, and then you
but
make him
this one
understand.
didn't go as I thought.
Okay.
I go, so all right, so what's up? And he goes, I don't know. Where do you want to go?
He wanted to go with you?
Yeah.
Now, at 18 years old?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did that just
I go,
melt your heart?
oh my goodness. It's like one of the greatest things ever as a dad to think that your kids at that age want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
So I said, you pick the place and we'll go. So we went down to the Caribbean. We hung out for like 6 days.
Just you two?
Yeah. Had a blast. It was so fun. And, you know.
Because you never know how it's going to turn out when you're raising these kids. You do your best.
Yeah, you do your best. And again, I try to live with an open hand, not a clenched fist. And, you know, I've learned that, you know, my dad was a ROTC PhD professor of biology at Bowling Green State University. The toughest professors there. Nobody really survived his class unless they wanted to become.
Your dad was a tough guy.
He was very tough.
Was he tough on you?
He was very structured. Like everything he was an ROTC lieutenant with a PhD. Like he got it as young as you can get a PhD. And then he spent his entire professional career at Bowling Green. And he was an expert in all earth science. Like he was such a dedicated, you know, in academia and everything else. And so, you know, so my dad, you know, had just a different way about him. You know, it was very, this is how I want things to go. But I ended up strapping knives to my feet and wearing spandex.
Wait.
I was a skater.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So you would think my dad would want me to go into academia, want me to be strong in school, but they pretty much allowed to, you know, especially with the childhood illness and everything else and finding skating. My mom became like involved in the skating club, was the test chairman, did all the hospitality for the judges. My dad, when we had an ice show, he loved to build, so he'd go build all the props for the ice shows, and it became a family affair. So they modeled kind of that open hand sort of, let's see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
And in so many respects, I've been that way with my kids. It's like, let's see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
And with Aiden, he was really like totally into sports, like day one. We got him into a little soccer team, then a flag football team, and then he got into middle school. He wanted to play football, and then he had an injury to his thumb. He was a really good receiver. Didn't really get to play that much, so he said, I'll just go into basketball. And he would sit out in the driveway and he'd just shoot for hours, and he loved to. And so we went into basketball for a minute, and then that wasn't really satisfying to him, and so then he went into soccer, and he was a highlight reel. Like every time his foot skills were great, and he'd play, and people would just, it was really fun as a parent to sit there and wait. They go, oh, he's got the ball, it's going to be really fun. He'd just meg people and nick them. He was just deking everybody out, and he was just, he was fun to watch. And then sort of around, he realized that when you go into Brentwood Academy, you see all the banners in the gym of all the state championships they won, and football, basketball, track and field, soccer.
Nothing.
So he goes, this is what I'm up against. And so he transferred over to Father Ryan for a minute, and he realized that really everyone he knew and everything he really ever knew was at Brentwood Academy. So he went back, and then he decided he wasn't going to really play soccer anymore, and he started building up his body because he wanted to be a fighter. His grandfather, my wife's father, was a Golden Gloves boxer, and so he wanted to go into fighting, and it's like, okay, let's see where this goes, So he's now 22 years old, and all he does is eat, sleep, and train.
Wow.
And his first fight is next weekend.
How are you feeling?
Nervous, apprehensive, but again, he's prepared himself.
Is it like an MMA fight?
Yeah. He wants to be in the UFC. Yeah. Let's just say I don't discipline him anymore.
I'd say so.
Not that I ever really did, but I mean, it was, I was always kind of the here's why guy, and you set up, well, here's where I don't budge, So there's things, it's like when we're not going to tolerate this, and we're definitely not going to tolerate that, and we want you to be honest and a part of member of the family and everything else. And his journey has been spectacular. I mean, he's changed our family in such remarkable ways. Our faith journey is he's ushered us into this new way of worshiping and
is he your youngest?
He's my oldest.
Your oldest?
My oldest birth child. We adopted 2 kids
from Haiti.
Yeah.
Okay, so your life though is just such a testament for people everywhere, because you had choices all along the way that you could have made differently. Like you could have been defeated from the beginning with your childhood illness. You could have been.
Yeah, there were a lot of knucklehead moments throughout, really bad ones.
Did you ever have a moment where you're like, this is just not fair? Why did I get this hand?
No.
Never?
No, I always kind of, it was really interesting. I was kind of like a typical, all the years of high school, I trained away from home 6 months a year, I was the youngest one at this training center. Everybody else was adults, basically 18 to 20 something. And I'm like 14, 15, hanging out with all these older people. So
you immediately were excellent at ice skating. Once you got the bug and once you got it,
regionally, I was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Sectionally, so the way that the United States worked back then in figure skating was there are 9 regions in the country. Okay, 3 regions, right? So you have 3 regions in the East, 3 in the Midwest, and 3 on the West Coast. Those 3 regions you qualify for sectionals, right? So there's 3 sections, and each section sends 3 people to the nationals.
Okay.
So I was pretty good regionally. Okay, better than average sectionally. Absolute epic disaster nationally. Sectionally, I could get to the nationals, and then I'd come in last.
But you're in the nationals. So
I'm in the nationals.
You're still great to be in the nationals.
Well, if you're a girl and you make nationals, you're amazing. If you're a boy and you don't make nationals, you probably should be doing something else, kind of thing. So I get to nationals, and I didn't know, like I had some natural ability, and I could skate fast and I could jump, but I didn't have the discipline. Because when they built the rink in Bowling Green, they were just trying to get coaches to come in. There was no pedigree. There was no tradition. There was no example. I started skating a year after the rink was built, and then you just sort of...
You're just kind of on your own.
Yeah, kind of. And then you start taking from different coaches, different places. And then I ended up 6 months a year in this training center in Illinois, which was spectacular. I mean, Janet Lynn skated there, who at the time was the most popular woman athlete in the world.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. And then Gordy McKellen was there, and he was kind of my hero, still is, but he was the men's national champion. So it was we had the women's national champion.
So you were with the best of the best.
I was with really great skaters. There was a dance team there that won a medal in the first ever Olympic ice dance thing. They were bronze, and they were amazing, and they were incredible. So I had example of good skating around me. I didn't know how to do it on my own. Yeah. So I was 9th out of 9 my first nationals, and then 9th out of 10 my second nationals, and then I beat 2 guys my first year in juniors. So it was like, I joke that it was like one of those things where, wait, Hamilton beat you? Really? What are you gonna quit? What are you gonna do? I mean, that's rough, And then I went back to Illinois my senior year in high school. My mother had just been diagnosed with cancer. She shared it in a very cheerful discussion. And then
how does she share it in a cheerful?
She goes, "Hey, everybody, family meeting." And it's like, "What's a family meeting?" And she goes, "Okay, everybody, I just came back from the doctor." And she was very upbeat, very big smiles and everything else. And she goes, "I've just been diagnosed with a disease called cancer." And back then you didn't even say it, right? It was 75, the spring of 75. And she had a form of cancer where there really wasn't a treatment for her, so they threw everything they could at her, and she knew it was going to be a brutal fight. So when she shared that news, she just said, "Look, you're going into your senior year in high school, and we're going to get you through one more season because we're basically bankrupt. We've gone through everything to keep you in skating because it made me well, right? And it gave me identity, and it did all these things. They were very sacrificial. And
Your parents really...
They were amazing.
Amazing.
So she said, "We'll get you through one more year. And then next year, after you graduate high school, we're both professors at the university, and you'll get free tuition. We can afford free. But you're done skating after this year." And I said, they go, "Just, you know what, have fun, but make it count." I said, "Okay." So I went back to Illinois. My main coach had retired. A new coach came in who scared me to death. So I just decided it was probably better for me to just submit. So I did. And he got me doing things I've never been able to do before.
So submit, you meant just do whatever he said?
Do whatever he says, stay out of trouble.
Okay, so was this a turning point for you? Had you been that way before?
No, not really. But he scared me to death, so I just decided to do whatever.
You kind of had a fire under you, too, because you knew this was your last year.
Last year, what have I got to lose?
Your mom just had... you had a lot on your plate at one time.
Yeah, so we get...
make or break moment.
We get to nationals, and I just landed my first triple 2 weeks before, and my coach put it in the program. So I was like, "Oh, bucket list, check. I got a triple jump. I landed one finally." And so he put it early in the program, and my mom was there, and they'd just removed her left breast and the inside of her left arm, and the chemo had taken all her hair, so she was wearing this wig, and her arm was in a sling. She said so people would know not to bump into her, and she had a big smile on her face, and she was just standing in the corner. I can see her standing in the corner of the rink, and I went out to the warm up for my long program, and my coach grabbed the back of my pants and pulled me off the ice. It's like, what? He said, "Don't warm up your triple sow." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Because we don't really want to know if it's there or not." And I go, "Okay."
We don't want to know if it's there or not? What do you mean?
Meaning, like, that might be a day where I'm not landing it. It's better not to.
So you're just going to have a surprise attack, see what happens?
Well, yeah. So just do doubles, and if you feel like it, put it in the long program.
Okay, so don't even do it. Okay, maybe.
So I went out, did my warm-up, went out to skate, and landed my first jump. That was nice. And then I went into triple sow, and I remember thinking, well, it's the last one ever. Let's just see what happens. And I threw it, and I landed it, and I ended up winning junior nationals. What I didn't know was my mom was so, she was just so effervescent that whole week. And it's like, wow, what kind of drugs are you on? This is really, doesn't make any sense to me. And she goes, "When you're done, we'll just sit down. We'll just, talk." And I said, "Great." So I win. I'm junior national champion, that means that you have credibility going into the championship level. And, but I'm quitting. And
so
she
you were
said,
going to quit, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause that was my last competition.
Yeah.
And then my mom said, "Oh, by the way, on the way here, this judge named Nancy Meese, she set up a meeting with this couple in Chicago who is very wealthy, doesn't have any children, loves skating, and would want to keep you on the ice, so they're going to sponsor you." And I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "What does that look like?" And she said, "The only string attached," this was 1976, right? "The only string attached is you have to move to Denver and take from a coach who that year was coaching Dorothy Hamill and John Curry to Olympic gold medals." So
they're like, we're going to fund you, and we're going to get you the best coach in the world.
Yeah. So I won the lottery. So now I go to Denver.
Can I pause for just a second? I don't want you to lose the spot, but this is the things in life that just overwhelmed me, because so many things had gone wrong. So many things you could have quit at any time. You were even going to quit, but not for the wrong reasons. You're going to quit for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So many things were stacked against you. from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the moment comes where you get your moment, you land the triple, and then you
Well,
get a
no,
break.
but the problem was that, I mean, the really cool thing was the trajectory of that year. She knew before I even stepped on the ice to compete at that competition that I was going to keep skating.
But she just didn't want to tell you.
Yeah.
'Cause she didn't want you to get in your head about it.
Right. Yeah.
And it was probably you had nothing to lose because this was your last skate. So you're like, well, let me just go all out.
Right.
But then you realize you could do it.
Right. And so I go the next year. I'm now training in Denver with the best coach in the world. I passed my gold figure test first try, which I was terrible at figures, but he was a really good coach at figures, so he got me through it really fast. The problem was the trifecta.
What is that?
The trifecta?
Yeah.
I turned 18.
Okay.
I was fully sponsored, and I was living in my own apartment for the very first time. It's the trifecta.
What happens when the trifecta happens?
Reckless irresponsibility.
Oh, you had like so
knucklehead stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know how to handle any of it. So I go to nationals that year, and I don't even know how I made it to nationals. I lacked focus. I was just overwhelmed by the fact that I was competing on the senior level. That year was so unexpected to me that it was just all was coming at me at light speed, and all these things were happening, and it was like expectation and I just
pressure. Did you feel a lot of pressure?
A little bit, because now I'm sponsored. I've got Carlo Fassi teaching me.
Yeah, you have all these
I'm
people
junior
on board
champion. I got all this like momentum, right?
Yeah.
And I was really successful at that nationals at killing the momentum.
Okay.
I came in 9th again. I just couldn't figure out how to do it. And then so the way it always would work would be I'd be skating away, and then I'd come home. And so my mom had taken a turn for the worse. She was at that nationals and watched me fail miserably. And
did you feel did you when that happened, did you feel like what happened? How do you feel? Because your mom.
I felt embarrassed, and I felt guilty, and I felt stupid. It was like
you're doing it in front of so many people. You're putting yourself out there in front of so many people.
It was rough. And that nationals were in Hartford, Connecticut, which was kind of like a skating center. It was just Boston, New York. That whole region is really big in skating. So I was failing in front of a very educated audience.
Wow.
And so, but here's where things got really crazy. So I go home. My brother and I went to my mom's hospital room. We were there up until about 3:30 in the morning. She wasn't conscious or anything. She was just sleeping. And then we had my sister and her husband were home, and I was sleeping on the couch in the family room just because, we had so many people around to look after us. And I remember my brother-in-law waking me up at 8:30 in the morning, and all he said is, "Your mother is gone." And all I could think to say is, "I know." And it felt really weird to say that. I don't even know why I said that. I remember it vividly. So we lived out in the country, and I just went out in the backyard, and I just started to walk. I was just trying to figure out how to do it without her. Like she gave everything. And, you got a mom's heart, it's like you want the best for your kids.
Oh, my God.
You would die for your kids, right?
Die for them.
Yeah.
And she gave everything she had for you.
Everything and then some, right? So a friend of mine lost his mom, decided to self-medicate. I didn't figure that honored her very much, especially after everything she sacrificed. So on the walk, I decided that I was going to take her with me to the ice every time.
Wow.
And I called Carlo and I said, fasten your seatbelts. There's a different kid coming back.
So it just put a fire in you like nothing else before?
I was like insatiable. I was just, I couldn't work hard enough.
Because you had to do it for your mom now. Now you weren't doing it for you because you didn't know, you couldn't, like you said, you couldn't figure it out. You couldn't get it together. But now you had such a motivation that nothing could stop you.
She was going to be the focus. So if I was, if I was running late, it's like, be on time. All right.
And being on time is a huge deal to you now.
It's a big deal. And then it's like, I don't feel like doing a long program run through. It's altitude in summer, hot, no air. No, do the long program run through. I drove my coach so crazy.
Because you're working beyond.
With ambition, right? He goes, I'm going to send you to Canada for the summer to get your programs done. So I went up to Canada, and I was, and everything just sort of fell into place.
Like you couldn't be stopped because now you have your why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Having your why is crucial. You talk about that a lot too.
Having your why is without it, I don't know how anybody gets anything done.
Because
right?
you don't know why you're doing it.
Right.
But now you're doing it because you're going to honor your mom, because everything she gave you, all the beliefs she had in you, you're like, I'm going to show you how much this is worth it and how much I love you.
So that next year I was 3rd in the nation, 11th in the world.
So you flipped the switch.
Big time. And then 2 years later, I'm on the Olympic team in Lake Placid. And then starting in October of 1980 to March of 1984, I never lost a competition. And I'm the last place guy.
And you had been the last place guy.
I'm last place guy.
But is it... It's because you literally are like, you're doing it for your mom.
Mm-hmm.
That is so powerful, Scott.
It's wild. And, so it's kind of that whole...
And did it take the pressure off of you, too?
No, it was a lot of pressure. Because what happened after Lake Placid, I thought if I came in 8th, that'd be really good. Because I was 11th, before. And I came in 5th. So the standings in that Olympics were Robin Cousins, Great Britain, 1st. Jan Hoffman from Germany, 2nd. Charlie Tickner from the United States, 3rd. David Santee from the United States, 4th. Me, 5th. Wow. So USA went 3, 4, 5. Wow. And then I woke up one morning that spring and I realized Robin Cousins just signed with Holiday on Ice in Europe. Jan Hoffman just decided to leave the sport and go into medical school. And Charlie Tickner just joined the Ice Capades. All I had to do was wake up and I'm ranked 2nd in the world. like that's it. I go, what do I need to do to be number 1? So let's go back. The competition where I came in last in novice nationals, my first nationals, the kid now I have to beat at 12 years old was on the championship men's podium because he was a genius at figures, which was my weakest event.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, God sense, he has a sense of humor. So I had to put my head down and get to work. And so I did. And it was just, there was no stopping me then. It's so weird that happened because this was like 40 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many times somebody's gone undefeated between Olympics, winning nationals, worlds, Olympic without losing for
Never,
4 years?
Only you.
It hasn't happened since. Even Nathan Chen had an oops, and he's he's like phenomenal. And
how do you think that was?
It's all God,
Yeah.
It's nothing else explains it. I mean, when I started looking up, I just realized there's something more at play here, and I don't know why or what or who or where and what the long play is here, but I've got to participate. So I just worked hard, really worked hard.
Is that when your mindset started changing though? Because I love your podcast that you talk about, because you talk about the important, like how failure is just information. Like I think that is so awesome, and how like not to get like hung up in our past failures. And you also talk about like nostalgia, not getting like lost in nostalgia.
That's my favorite. It's our mantras. Nostalgia is expensive.
It is.
It costs you everything. My parents, and here's an example of that, right? A weird example. So the car that we all learned how to drive in was a 3 on a tree, back in the days. The stick shift was, in here. So no, this one wasn't a 3 on the tree. That was my brother-in-law's car. This one was a stick shift down here. And my parents, they just said, oh, this car is just like, we're just going to drive into the ground and can't wait till we don't own it anymore. It was a 65 Mustang.
That's like a legendary car, right? Classic.
Yeah. Like it cost them $2,000 to buy. To get one now is like $75,000. And they couldn't wait to get rid of it. So it's like nostalgia is expensive. Right?
That is so true.
It's like the marriage that falls apart because one of them wants to go back to their high school sweetheart. Well, there's a reason it didn't work out back then, but you've forgotten, right?
Yeah.
And now it costs you everything.
That is so
right?
true.
So it's so much about living in the past. And it's something I struggled with until I came to faith. It was something that I was just like, I was such a loser. I was so bad. I didn't appreciate my mom when she was alive. I loved her and she knew that and everything, but
you were also a kid, an adolescent, and a teenager.
But I didn't give myself that slack, because there's again, the trifecta was a part of it, but it was also the fact that I wasn't grateful, and I see it throughout, and
Did her death, was that the turning point, though?
Oh, big time. That
For the
was
gratefulness, too?
That was the fork in the road. And well, it was that, and it was just like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to be that.
You're not going to go that road
And,
anymore.
I still was a knucklehead. I was still young. But on the skating side, things just started really working out great.
So you weren't grateful, and then you saw all the gratitude.
Mm-hmm. And the couple that stepped in as my sponsors, her husband died the year after my mom died. And that was rough. That was really rough. And so she became like my mom. So she left Chicago, moved to Denver, and we ended up living in the same condo building for a while. And she was just a phenomenal lady. And they, it wasn't like she was a big skating fan and she decided to sponsor skaters. She wanted to invest in people, and it was never a condition. There was never a string attached ever. Wow. She just wanted you to understand the investment, understand the commitment, so that you would pay it forward someday, somehow. And you would understand that these sacrifices and the extensions of generosity were meant to be passed forward. Yeah. And so there were people that she sponsored that didn't get it, and she'd say, well, you're not a good investment. And so she'd move on to somebody else.
It's a heart investment that she was looking for.
Yeah. Well, it was just, it was a gratitude.
Yeah.
But I didn't ever have to write her a thank you note for everything.
Just to appreciate what it is, so you can do that for someone else.
Yes.
Not so you can be like, oh, you're the greatest that ever was. Yeah. It's so you can continue the ripple effect.
And her life has had such phenomenal impact. Wow. Incredible impact. So, this is all that. And then, so I get through the 84 season, then I turn pro, and I'm with the Ice Capades. And the president of Ice Capades didn't want to sign me. He thought I was a risk.
Why?
Oh. I was sort of spontaneous a lot, and he just probably didn't think that I was going to be reliable, safe. And a lot of Olympic athletes that join the shows, they're now in a festive environment. Let's just say you're going from training in relative, isolation to now being on a company with like 75 people on the road, 36 of which are young females.
So there's a lot that can happen.
A lot that can happen.
I mean, I'm shocked if a lot doesn't happen.
Well, and then I was able to navigate that, where I never missed a show, I never missed a press call, and I proved myself. And I thought I was going to get a third-year option, but a new owner came in and said, I only want women's stars, so we're letting you go. So now I was unemployed. And then IMG came to me. My manager was executive at IMG, and he said, do you want to help us start a tour? And I said, let me check my calendar.
Actually, I'm wide open.
So we started a show called Stars on Ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that I was year 11 in Stars on Ice, where I couldn't stand up straight anymore because my work-life balance and my social life was just really out of alignment with everything. It was just the tail was wagging the dog.
The tail. Okay. This is already after you won the Olympic.
Oh, this is like 13 years later.
13. So this is just, you're continuing. Well, that's amazing. You can continue ice
Well, I
skating.
thought if I skated 2 to 4 years, I was fooling a lot of people. And now I'm in year 13.
Wow.
And I'm in Peoria, Illinois, and I had abdominal pain like nobody's business. And
that has to be so hard on your body.
Well, it was. I mean, it was who I was. I mean, right. I was a skater. I was a professional skater. So that's what I was going to do, and I was going to, no matter what, that right. was my identity. Everything else came second. And then I'm diagnosed with cancer in Peoria. They didn't know what kind of cancer it was. So I had a tour bus for that March because...
So you were having pain in your abdomen.
Oh, I couldn't even stand up straight. And that's bad as a skater when you can't stand up straight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I took my bus to Cleveland. I had a biopsy the next morning. And then the morning after that, they diagnosed me with stage 3 cancer. Wow. And the tour was in Dayton. They were wondering what was going on. And then they were doing Dayton, and then they were taking their buses up to... They were supposed to fly from Dayton to Rochester, New York, because it was a lot of the smaller markets in March. And so instead they decided to take the tour bus and come through Cleveland to see me on the way up to Rochester. And it was a great day, but it was...
Was that the last day you professionally skated?
Nope. so my whole goal, once they told me what it was, I had to have several months of chemotherapy. Those were 8-hour infusions. There were 3 chemo drugs that were combined. You see, 50 years ago, my cancer had a 5% survival rate. 5%. Mm-hmm. So 95 out of 100 people died of this cancer. Okay? This was 28 years ago. I had an 80 to 90% chance. And now it's 95%. All because of research. Right?
Wow.
One research scientist in Indiana figured out how to treat my cancer.
How do you treat it?
3 different chemo drugs. They're combined. And so...
Did you have those 3 different drugs?
Yeah.
You got them.
Mm-hmm.
But that was probably the beginning of those 3 drugs being put together.
Yeah, it was funny because I always joke that I made testicular cancer cool before Lance Armstrong. He had it the next year. But I was able to come back and be on tour the next season.
Wow.
Yeah, that was after months of chemotherapy and then a 38 staple surgery. They opened up my whole abdomen, and they checked everything, all the lymph nodes, and took out the remaining. The tumor I found was twice the size of a grapefruit.
Wow.
And I'm little. How do I not know, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Really
your stomach was really killing you, though.
Yeah. But I mean, how does something
Like
that size not just show up?
I know.
You know, it's weird. But so I missed the rest of that tour, and then I did all the work. I did the big surgery, and then I had to wait for everything to knit to get back on the ice, and then I was able to get back on tour the next year.
So I kind of want to talk about some of your mindset that's happened during all this, because then you go on to get married and
Mm-hmm.
you have 4 kids. 2 you had biologically. 1 though, your second one you had to do like injections because.
Well, now it's really wild. There's a lot of really wild things in this.
Your life just hasn't been easy.
No,
not that anyone's is easy, but yours has had obstacle, reward, obstacle, reward, payoff. But it's like every time you get a payoff, you get hit with another obstacle.
Yeah, I always thought if anything good were to happen to me, something bad was going to happen next.
Like right next.
Yeah. So I always kind of dreaded. I always thought, oh, something good happened.
But that's when your eternal optimism has come.
Well, yeah, because I realized I had it out of order.
Tell me why.
I always thought that I was unwanted, so I was adopted. And then I got sick, and I found, and then I got sick. I got adopted, and I got sick. And then I found skating, and then I wasn't very good. And then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. What I realized was...
Did you feel unwanted through the whole time?
No, because I love my parents. I love my mom, and my dad was awesome. He was so funny. But
what did you realize?
Yeah, when I survived cancer, I realized that I had it all wrong. That for every bad thing in my life, something good was going to come.
Opposite order.
So I just flipped the switch on order. So instead of being, instead of sort of being adopted and getting sick, I was like, wait, I was born. I was unintended, inconvenient, unwanted. But my mom sought it through, and she brought me into the world and put me up for adoption immediately. And my parents that adopted me wanted a bigger family. And my mom would carry a baby full term, and then the baby would die at birth. So
did that happen multiple times?
Yeah, 3 times. So
did she have any biological children?
My sister was a survivor of twins.
Wow.
Yeah, so my sister was the only one born of my parents, and then I was adopted, and then when I was 4, they adopted my brother. And it's funny because we look at like total strangers. Like none of us have anything in common, except whenever I was with my mom, people would say, "Oh, you can't deny him." And I look at my mom and go, "Really? They think I?" And she goes, "Yeah, you always resemble the ones that love you the most." Yeah. So that's her. So in this cancer diagnosis, it was just once I got through it, I became a cancer survivor, and I was at a survivor celebration I was asked to speak at a survivor celebration in Chicago, and I was in the back of the room because I was really nervous. I was pacing, and I was listening to the other speakers to kind of, just get a sense of what this thing was all about. And this little girl from a high school athlete lost her leg to cancer. And she said, the worst thing that's ever happened to me is cancer. And everybody, they were all survivors. They're all nodding their heads. And she goes, but I'm here to tell you the best thing that ever happened to me was cancer. And it was like a lightning shot hit me. I was like, wait, what? And then she went through her story, and it was like, yeah, I get it. I get it. This was a second chance. So moving forward, because we were almost there, right? On the third anniversary of my diagnosis, Tony Thomas, Danny Thomas's son, Danny Thomas founded St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. His son Tony was a television and movie producer, and he was on the board of St. Jude, and his best friend, who was like his brother, ran a media company, did all of Target's advertising. So I was doing a lot of stuff for Target at the time. Tony and I got to be friends through Gary Toby at Target, and we just got to be friends. And Tony had a guest coming to the show that night. It's like, oh, Tony's dating. Interesting. I can't wait to see who he's dating. So there's this girl standing by the production office, and I realized that was Tony's date. So it was on the third anniversary of my diagnosis, and I went up and I said hi, and I'd pretty much stepped away from any kind of relationship. I just felt broken and toxic, and I just felt out of sorts. I didn't feel like I wanted to be in a relationship. It didn't feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I met her, I was like, ooh. And I went, that's Tony's date. You're a jerk. Walk away. And so I talked to her for about 10 minutes, and I said, nice to meet you. And I left, and I was like, that was weird. And
felt a little flutter inside.
A little first time flutter like that. And I was like, interesting. So Tony and I were playing golf later a few months later, and he's like on the phone, and it's like, oh, is that the girl from Memphis? And he goes, Tracy? I go, I don't know her name. She goes, no, she was just a guest. She's like a little sister. Yeah, she's like a friend. That wasn't a date. And I go, oh. He goes, did you like her? And I go, maybe a little. And he goes, let me see if I can get her phone number. I think she's moving to L.A. this week from Tennessee, because I was living in L.A. And I go, okay. So I go to a barbecue that week, and my favorite caddy, we're at the golf club. He's a nut, an absolute hilarious guy. And he goes, hey, man, how you doing? I go, good. He goes, my cousin was supposed to come tonight, made other plans. And I go, who's your cousin? He goes, Tracy, you met her in Memphis. I go, yeah. He goes, our mothers are sisters. And it's like, wait a minute. I just asked Tony Thomas for her number, and he goes, got it right here.
Stop it. And obviously she was talking about you because he knew. The cousin knew.
The cousin just, yeah. So Tony asked for her number. She mentioned it to Jimmy, her cousin.
Okay.
And Jimmy said, I got it right here.
Okay.
So I was headed to Christiane Yamaguchi's wedding, and I had a bunch of things.
Yeah.
She was moving from Tennessee. So 3 weeks later, we went out on our first kind of time together. I guess it was a date. And we've been together ever since. What I didn't know is after she met me at the show in Memphis, on her way back, she was talking to her cousin Gina. They went together. And she mentioned that she met me backstage. And Gina said, what's he like? And Tracy goes, that's the type of man I see myself marrying someday.
Love at first sight.
Yeah. And then it came down to us dating, and then her asking where I was in my faith.
Okay, so talk to me about that. Where were you in your faith?
She said, where are you in your relationship with Jesus? I said, where do you want me to be? And then I told her I didn't like denominational religion. I thought it was divisive. I just thought, who's right, who's wrong, who and I just felt it puts God in a box, and it wasn't fair because I believed in God. I didn't know much about Jesus. And she said, ooh, okay, will you meet my pastor? I said, absolutely. Bring it. Let's go. Let's do this thing. And so I met our pastor, and he became like an uncle and guided me, and every question I ever had about my life was answered.
Really?
Just in faith and understanding that, you look at every character in the Bible and what they've gone through.
They've all been through so much.
Right.
So many trials
and they're not
tribulations.
always the most, like the best people on the planet.
No.
Most of them are damaged.
Yeah.
You've got prostitutes, you got adulterers, you've got murderers, you've got all these people in the Bible that were used, right? To, just used in really specific ways. So once I got into the Bible as a book of history instead of a book of
right and wrong and your fire and
metaphor, fairy tales,
Mm-hmm.
it was just like, wow, all my questions are now answered. I got to get better at this,
Wow.
So I just dove into faith, and And it was really wild. That was there that, I got baptized, and my wife came up to me after the baptism, and I was headed back to the house to watch football. She was going out with her best friend and with our son for, brunch, and Aiden was just a baby back then. And she goes, "How do you feel?" And I said, "Lighter." It was, because I always tell people, as human beings, we fail. We're meant to fail. And we take all our failures and we put them in a bag, and then we carry the bag around with us.
Forever.
Right?
And it's who we are, and it's a burden to carry forever.
Right. What Jesus did when he went to the cross was he took our bags and he destroyed them. They're gone.
They're gone.
Right? So once you drop the bag, lighter.
Yeah.
Much lighter. And you can step into a relationship now that's forever, for better, and built on the foundations of love that didn't exist before we were created, right? So all of these things have stepped into my life now, and they equip me for next, because Aiden was about 14 months old. I'm doing my big benefit in Cleveland, and
had you started the Scott Hamilton Cares Foundation by then?
It was an initiative. It was the CARES initiative at the Cleveland Clinic. So we were funding research. We were building all these platforms.
And your goal was to figure out what was missing in cancer.
Yes. And so the first thing that was missing was education, support. So CARES stands for the Cancer Alliance for Research, Education, and Survivorship. I never wanted to be a silo, ever. So we created a mentorship program that puts newly diagnosed patients with survivors. It's called the Fourth Angel. And they expanded that to caregivers and pediatric caregivers. They do 100 pairs a month. It's still at the Cleveland Clinic doing phenomenal work, the Fourth Angel Mentoring Program. And then, because your first angel is your oncologist, second angel is your oncology nurse, third angel is your friends and family, what was missing was the fourth angel.
Someone who's been through it.
Exactly.
Exactly what you've been through.
Yeah, and I didn't know. I wanted to quit after round 3 of chemo.
You needed someone who could walk you through it, who'd been there.
Role model, kind of a life coach.
But only someone who really has gone through it would know what was missing.
When I asked my oncologist, how sick am I going to be with chemo, he said, moderate to severe. And I said, what does that look like? And he said, moderate to severe. So anyway, so we created Fourth Angel, and then I was the organ grinder's monkey for about maybe 5 years to build chemocare.com, which is a I went on Dr. Google, which is where everybody goes when they get a diagnosis. And you get medical journal papers, you get things that don't really, all people want is information. So I thought chemo was, I was going to go into a room and they're going to replace all my bodily fluids, right? I thought chemo was this big deal. It's a bag of chemical therapy. It's an IV bag.
So it's not like anything laser burning or anything like
that?
No,
it's just that way. The chemo drugs are so toxic, you can't touch them with your skin. And they're putting them in my body, right?
Wow.
So I'm watching this chemo thing happen. It's like, wow, it's just simple. They put a line in and they just give you, chemicals that go in and they destroy the weak cells and some healthy ones. But hopefully the healthy ones will grow back. And once you get rid of the cancer and you kill it all, then you go back to life. And that's what I did. I mean, my normal counts, I think it was 0 to 8. Mine was like 8,800, so bad cancer, right? So by the time we were done, my counts were at like 0. And the tumor that was twice as big as a grapefruit was now the size of a golf ball. So they took it out and they did all this stuff. But there was something there for me, right? So I did all that. But now I'm fast forward. We're funding research. We got the education. We got the survivorship programs. We got everything going. We're growing. We're impacting. We're partnering with people. We're doing phenomenal work. And I was headed to Cleveland. And my wife, I was in Lake Placid with Stars and Ice coming down to Cleveland. I just was symptomatic. And Tracy was coming up from Tennessee to the show. And no, we were still living in L.A. She was flying in from L.A. And I went in for a head scan because all my symptoms said something neurological. And they said, there's something in there.
Just after you finished cancer.
This was 7 years later, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And I go, that's not fair.
That's not fair.
That's not fair.
That's not fair at all.
So they said, no, it's like, we don't know what it is, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. So I went back to the hotel to meet Tracy, and she was just arriving, and she goes, what's up? I go, tell you upstairs. So we got up to the room. Aiden's on the floor playing with the phone, banging what kids do. And she looks at me and goes, "What's up?" And I go, "I have a brain tumor." And she just grabbed both my hands and started to pray. Like, not even a beat. It was first thing. Like, why us? Why this? Why no pity party? It was straight to the Lord. And she prayed, and it was the single most powerful moment in my life. And I've had a lot of big moments, a lot of big moments, and that was the biggest. And so,
what did that do for you?
It solidified. Like, if my faith were gelatinous, if my faith were soft clay, it became foundational concrete in that moment. It just was like, bam, this is it.
This is
game on.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
So they couldn't figure out what it was, so they had to do a biopsy. And they went in and they said it was the craniopharyngioma I was born with. We talked about that. It was
the reason you had the mystery illness when you were a kid.
Right. So how am I supposed to be angry at this brain tumor when it made every great thing in my life happen?
Wow.
Right? How often do we go there?
That is so powerful and so profound and so unbelievably wise to be able to do that.
Right.
That takes so much wisdom.
Thank you. That's very generous of you to say that.
But it does.
But it's one of those things where it was like, it wasn't a pity party. It is what it is, whatever it takes. That was our mantra.
It is what it is and whatever it takes.
And I was watching, it was really funny that I like to watch, sports. And I was watching SportsCenter, and Terrell Owens was a wide receiver. He went into the Ravens, and he was doing Ray Lewis's dance, and he was making fun of Ray Lewis in the Baltimore Ravens stadium. He was mocking him.
Wow. That's
and
bold.
Ray Lewis is somebody you don't want to mock, right?
That's some boldness right there.
So they're baiting Ray Lewis into kind of getting, talking trash about Terrell Owens. And Ray Lewis, I'll never forget it as long as I live. He just said, hey, no, I love T.O. T.O., I know he's had it rough, but he has no idea where I've been. He goes, I've been through it, man. And I'm listening to him because I'm seeking perspective. And he goes, I'll pray for T.O. He goes, because I'm here to tell you, as deep as I've dug down low, that's as high as I'm going to go. And it was just like this. It was like another lightning bolt. It was like, bam, all right, let's go. Let's do this. I'm in charge. I'm going to make this thing happen. And so it was 2 years ago. I'm in Canton, Ohio, at this barbecue thing they had for NFL Hall of Famers, and Ray Lewis walks in, and I go, I've been wanting to tell you this for how many years? Since 2004. And he goes, what? And I told him the story, and his eyes filled up with tears, and he just picked me up and he hugged me as hard as he could. It broke every bone in my body. But it's those things where we're all in this together, right?
You never know what somebody's going through.
You never know what words are going to give somebody that kick in the pants they need in order to get back in the game, and let's do this. So, it just feels like, it's been that one thing after another thing, but so I basically, when I had the biopsy, I was in the hospital for just a little while, just to keep an eye on things. And then I packed my bag and I left neuro ICU. And then I go back to life, and then life's a little different because I'm on all these medications. And then I get to 2010, decided to come back to skating, see if I could do it at 51. It was fun. It was hard, but it was fun. And I end up getting backflip back at 51. I'm doing all these things, these crazy things. And I wrecked my shoulder. I caught an edge and I went flying. And I thought I hurt my hip, but I tore everything in my shoulder. Kind of lived with it for a while. Every time I landed a jump, it'd be like pop, pop, pop. And every time my son Max would drop something in the back seat, I'd have to reach back and pick it up. And it was like, I'm going to pass out. So I go, all right, I got to get this fixed. So I got surgery. I got surgery on my shoulder, and then I was in physical therapy, and I got symptomatic again.
Oh, no.
And I'm thinking,
not again.
So I went back, and they scanned, and they go, yep, it's back.
No.
And they go, but this time it's presenting really well for surgery. And it's like, oh, okay. But it felt like getting kicked in the stomach.
Yeah.
And where I told Tracy the first time she prayed This time I told her and she burst into tears. It just felt different. Now, we could spend an hour on this story easily, but it was there that I really felt the Lord's presence.
You did?
Yeah.
How
See,
so?
I'm big with 8s.
Okay.
I was born 8/28/58.
Okay.
I traced 8s on the ice. 8s are everywhere with me.
8s are everywhere.
8s are everywhere with me. And it's just one of those things where wherever there's an 8, right? So we're going to Boston to get surgery done by the number one guy that invented the surgery, who's done hundreds of thousands of these surgeries, right? Just knows the game better than anybody.
Yeah.
Blessed to have access. Buddy of mine set me up at a hotel in Boston, and I go to the room number, and it's room 1313. And I went, oh, crap. That's not good.
Wrong numbers.
Yeah, wrong numbers. So then I go in. The surgery didn't go well as planned. There was an artery that wasn't where it was supposed to be. Nicked it, turned it into an aneurysm. So 9 brain surgeries later.
Stop it.
Yeah. I go blind in my right eye. They get most of it back. And then I'm released on August 8th.
Thank you.
But then I go back. My the surgeon that was obliterating the aneurysm was on the 8th floor of the building. When I came out of surgery, I was in recovery bay 8, and all these 8s show up.
So you're like, I know I'm going to be okay.
I know I'm going to be okay. But what's weird is I go, what is about this 1313? Add up the numbers.
Okay, I'm terrible at math.
1 + 3 = 4 + 1 = 5 + 3 = 8.
Stop. So it was 8.
From day one, it was 8. So anyway, get back to life, right? And now, again, it was 2004. First one, 2010, second one. 2016, I go in for a scan, and they go, it's back. And they go, we're going to give you a surgical and a medical option. And I'm sitting there going, why aren't I scared? Why aren't I worried? Why aren't I anything? And they go, no, here's the surgical option. And all I felt was get strong. I was like,
You heard in your head, get strong?
Yeah, where does that come? Get strong? What's that? I don't know what that, overwhelming sensation, get strong. It's like, I don't know what that means. Okay. So then they bring in the medical guy. There's a brand new drug that works to shrink your tumor. It's not a cure, but at least it'll stop it from doing mischief. What do you think? And I go, get strong. I go, So they go, what do you think you want to do? And I go, I'm going to go home and get strong. And they go, what does that look like? And I go, I have no idea. I just know I'm supposed to go home and get strong. So I went home, and I didn't know if
you heard God speaking to you.
It's something. It was just overwhelming. It wasn't a voice. It was just like this, like it was
It was what
not to be denied.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if I was supposed to be strong physically or emotionally or mentally or spiritually. So I did what I did in high school. I chose all the above.
Just do it all. And you say that too, like being prepared. Like if you're really have something stressful happening in your life, prepare across the board. So then when you walk into the situation, you're as fully prepared as can be, right?
Yeah.
Is that where you kind of adopted that method?
Part of that, but then I'm reading the Bible, and they asked Jesus, what's the greatest? And he said, love the Lord with all of your strength and all of your heart and all of your mind and all of your soul.
Scott, there are so many.
Get strong, right?
Like with God.
Yeah. So it's been remarkable that in January, it'll be the 10th anniversary of that diagnosis, and I haven't touched it.
Have you had it checked or anything?
No. Well, I did, but COVID kind of made it weird. So for 10 years, I've looked at this, and I'm not saying that out of pride or anything else. I'm just praying for people that you use what's in there. You open yourself up to allowing God to guide you, and he will. And Jesus is always there. And I feel like I have these guardian angels. And
you do. And
it was remarkable. I was in ICU with an aneurysm, and every 15 minutes they come in to check your vitals in ICU. So I'm in neuro ICU, and they're doing all these things. I couldn't get any sleep. They were just coming in every 15 minutes. So I'm praying, and this odd nurse comes in. I always say that because she had an odd accent, and she had a weird energy to her, right? And she goes, oh, do I hear voices? And I go, yeah. She goes, who are you talking to? And I go, I was praying. And she goes, oh, I like to pray too. And I go, "Yeah, that's good." She goes, "Oh, so who do you pray to?" And I say, "I pray to God and Jesus." And she goes, "Oh, I love that. That is so beautiful. And what do you do when you pray?" And I go, "I just express my gratitude for everything I've been given." And she goes, "Oh, that's great." And she goes, "Who's God to you?" And I go, "I guess my father, I guess." And she goes, "Oh, I love that. Are you a father?" And I said, "I am." She goes, "Huh. Now, if one of your sons were scared and hurting and at risk, wouldn't you want them to come to you with that?" I said, "Yes." So in that moment, I changed the way I pray. I'm just on my knees begging all the time. And I never saw that nurse again.
Wow.
So I don't think she was a nurse.
You think she was an angel?
Yes.
So you went from how was your prayer and what did it change to?
It changed to, I can't do this without you. I need you. And I'm desperate.
Instead of trying to be
grateful.
Like, I got this.
I'm grateful still.
Yeah.
But it's not like I have anything together. The more I step into faith, the more I realize how needy I am.
Yeah.
It's just.
But that's where we're supposed to be.
That's where we're supposed to be. And it's amazing that it's not like we're not self-reliant. It's not like we're not strong. It's not like any of those things, because you read the stories of faith, and every one of them is, they all needed.
Mm-hmm.
They all needed, and they were all instructed, and they all had an identity in God. But if they denied it, things didn't go well.
That is so true.
That
is so true.
And then you look at the connection with all of it. It's just remarkable. The whole arc, and the more I learn, the more I want to learn. The more I learn, the more I grow. The more I grow, the more I want to grow more. And the more I want it to be the centerpiece of my life. And
I feel like that's really amazing, because like your Scott Hamilton and Friends event that you're doing. And I was talking to my friend about you actually today when I was dropping my daughter off at school. They had a little chapel, and I was talking to my friend Kristen, and I was telling her I was interviewing you, and she said, "Scott Hamilton changed my life." She's like, "When I was 6 years old, he pulled me out on the ice rink. I don't know where y'all were." I was like, "Did you ice skate?" She's like, "No, but he pulled me out on the ice rink and like did something. I don't know what you do with children on the ice, but like you gave her this opportunity to be out there." And she's like, "I'll never forget it. It was like a moment marked in time."
Oh.
And I was like, you know what? I feel like that is who you are, just from like observing you and like learning your story and like understanding your heart now, especially after this interview. Like, I feel like you are truly just trying to use everything that has happened to you and all that you have learned and all these opportunities and all these highs and these lows and now the wisdom that you've gained. And I just feel like you are trying to like just pour it on to people as big as you can with the bandwidth that you have, with the resources that you have. And like this event that you're doing in November, it's coming up when? November
23rd.
23rd. Yeah. And how many years is this that you've done this at
This
Bridgestone?
is our 9th one at Bridgestone. This is our 30th one.
And it's for cancer research.
Yeah.
And it's to extend all like, and you have the goal to eradicate cancer.
Yeah.
And like, but like, I truly feel like you are here to like give people hope and to use what you've been given to bless others.
Well, it's like they say that an optimist is someone that tells you to have a nice day when everything's going their way, right? Mm-hmm. But it to me, it's like I'm not sugarcoating. I'm not trying to be hypocritical or anything else, or trying to ask somebody to do something I wouldn't do myself. But in this, I know that cancer is curable. I've grown to understand that our bodies create the cancer. Our bodies are equipped to pretty much handle any other disease if our immune systems are strong. So why don't we just teach our immune systems how to detect and destroy the cancer? So 11 years ago, we put that stake in the ground. And 3 years after we put that stake in the ground, the first immunotherapy drug hit the market. And it was CAR-T, and it was like, we didn't fund that, but it was like confirmation that we're on the right path. And so now, you'll see so many of the really effective therapies for a lot of the no-hope cancers, especially, are based in immunotherapy. It's like getting your immune system to healthy. Yeah, you just got to figure it out. It's like training T cells. Like our T cells are fundamental to our immune systems. It's training them to say, oh, wait, I fed you yesterday, but you don't belong here. You need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Get out.
Yeah.
And so those T cells live in our bodies, and they're on the search for things that don't belong, things that are potentially harmful. And so we fund immunotherapy research exclusively, or targeted therapies, anything that will treat the cancer and spare the patient harm.
Wow. That's amazing.
Well, I had chemotherapy, and I'm here because of it, but I know we've evolved as a scientific community beyond that. You know, it's like nobody remembers how George Washington died.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember?
Something about his teeth?
No, he had an infection.
Oh.
And back then when you had an infection, they would bloodlet. So they would bloodlet, and you'd build new blood, and it was supposed to make you well, I guess. But they went too far, and he bled to death. Yeah. But that was the state of the art back then.
Right. So you're
Why
saying
do we
it
have
keeps
to?
evolving.
Yeah, that's why I say nostalgia is expensive.
It is.
It'll cost you everything. So let's look forward.
Yeah.
Let's not look back. Let's
keep
keep looking
from
forward.
back and keep moving forward.
We can't change anything that lived back there. We can step into the new.
Yep.
And we can step into authority, and we can step into the promise, and we can step into, there's so many things that I wish I would have done differently, as a knucklehead kid. I wish I would have spent more time with my mom, but that wasn't going to be my story. But that doesn't mean that I can't take her with me everywhere and talk about her. And
she's changed your whole life in every single way.
I get cards from people that were in her class, that she taught, and they just tell me story after story after story, and meeting more people that had my dad that have forgiven him. I'm just joking. It's remarkable that there are very few avocations that you can get into where you'll be remembered for the rest of your life. And teachers and coaches.
So true.
Yeah. I remember every coach I ever had, and I remember everything they ever taught me. Wow. I remember almost every single one of my teachers. Wow. Yeah. But I get some slack on that because I was only half here and half there.
Right.
Yeah. So it was brief, in some respects. But, we're all in this together, and we're all in this to make a difference. And, we've done this show for 9 years, and
tell us about what to expect at the Bridgestone show.
We do a different show.
You have REO Speedwagon, and there's like a super band that's been formed for this, right?
Yeah, well, Six Wire is the guy. They are the house band.
Okay.
And when the first time we had the Journey guys here, it was Jonathan Cain and Neil Sean.
So they're playing while people are ice skating.
Yeah, so Six Wire is the house band for every artist coming in.
Okay.
So we have lead singers.
Okay.
John Elefante, who used to be the singers, used to be a former of Kansas, singing Kansas, and he's doing a foreigner song. We have the former lead singer of Chicago, and Jason Sheff, who's with the band for 30 years. He's coming in. We have Wally Palmer from the Romantics coming in.
Dang.
Mike Reno from Loverboy is coming in. We have Kevin Cronin, formerly of REO Speedwagon, coming in. And Jason Dulatka, who's of Journey. He isn't their lead singer. Arnel Pineda is their lead singer, but he sounds like Perry, and he's got the voice of an angel, and he's become my good luck charm.
So they'll all be playing and singing while
the set list is insane. Every one of the songs was like a monster hit.
Oh my gosh!
And they're all performing for Olympic champions skating in front of them.
This is incredible. And so all this is to raise money
for CARES and our goals to change. So we've had, in the last 11 years, we've had 111 partnerships. And it's been extraordinary to see. Like on the 40th anniversary of my Olympic gold medal, we invested in a metastatic melanoma study, immunotherapy in Boston, 3 years before my 40th anniversary. And on the night of my 40th anniversary, I was able to announce that metastatic melanoma breast cancer that killed my mom was now going into an immunotherapy clinical trial. 47 years after I lost her.
Gosh. And that's why you can't look back with nostalgia, because you're like, man, I wish they had the treatments back then that they have now. But it's like because of her life and because of your journey and because of what you've gone through. I know.
It's crazy.
Grateful for.
You just got to show up every day.
Yeah.
With intention.
Yep.
And we've got a remarkable team, and we're collaborative. We're not a silo. We've done some things on our own, but in those 111,
you get there
we've
faster
always
when you go with people.
We partner. I don't ever really want to feel like I have a big, big, big mentality that the greatest gifts ever given are to those that'll never know the origin of the gift. So you just put stuff out there. And, Danny Thomas was my youngest son, Max's middle name is Thomas, for the Thomas family.
St. Jude.
Because I wanted him to know that one person could change the world.
That is so true. And you are that person too, Scott.
I don't know. I'm working.
You are.
I'm a work in progress.
You are.
I'm still that knucklehead 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, but you've taken it all and you've transformed it all into so much good and so much growth and so much knowledge and your spiritual knowledge and the wisdom that you share. I mean, literally, you are just a walking wisdom.
Oh, you're kind.
What you've lived through and what you've seen.
Will you call my wife? Just kidding.
Yeah, I'm
no,
sure
she knows. She knows.
I'm sure she knows.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Man, I would talk to you forever. We are already at an hour and 15, so I'm going to wrap up with
November 23rd, Bridgestone Arena. If you're not there,
you're missing out.
Well, you're missing out, and we really have bold, audacious goals.
What are the goals?
To end this. Nobody needs to die of cancer ever again. If you're going to get it, probably, with the food we eat and our environment and everything else. Yeah, so let's figure out a way to get you through it like any other illness.
I love that.
And there is.
Make it so a death sentence.
Well, no, it's funny how when I was diagnosed with cancer, we came across a survey, our Oncology Nursing Society survey, and they said, "What's your greatest fear?" Newly diagnosed patients, right? And 30% said death. 42% said treatment. People would rather die than go through the treatment. So we want to change that. We want to change it to be where you have everything inside your body that needs to be there, except we need to teach your T cells or your immune system how to detect and destroy the cancer. We need to help give you that assistance. And I've heard it said by the CEO of Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa. I said, he sees a day in the very near future, and I 100% believe it, in the very near future where no one dies of cancer. You get it, and early detection is still the best cure. But all our goals are to fund the research, fund the science, and we know more now than ever before. It's funny, the science is way up here and the funding is way down here. If we can close the gap, we can reach our goals that nobody has to die ever again. No 18-year-old boy is ever going to have to bury his mom. And 18-year-old boys need their moms because they're all knuckleheads. Sorry.
What a life. I started off saying you're a legend, and I end confirming that fact.
Oh,
what
thank
a legend that you are, Scott Hamilton.
You bless me.
What
thank
a
you
life.
for giving me this platform. And
everyone get out there November 18th, Bridgestone Arena.
November 23rd.
November 23rd.
November 23rd, 4 p.m. We moved it up an hour because we realized that everything we do is family friendly.
I appreciate that. That makes it fun to go.
Well, yeah, everybody can come. Take the whole family. And it's really cool.
Where do people buy tickets?
At Bridgestone Arena box office or Ticketmaster.
Okay.
Or you can go on scottcares.org.
Okay.
We do a dinner at the Omni afterwards. If you buy a ticket to the dinner, you get preferred seating at the ice show, and the dinner is a blast. Okay. If you haven't been to an event at the Omni Hotel, they're beyond first class.
Okay.
It's platinum class.
I love it.
And it's just, we have a great night. Matt Rogers will be our auctioneer that night. He's the voice of the Tennessee Titans. He's hilarious. And again, just all our artists and all our skaters. Again, Nathan Chen's coming back, and Katia Gordieva's coming back, and all of these Olympic champions and these Olympians and world champions, they're all coming back because this is something that touches us all, and we have an opportunity to change it forever and for the better. So. If you have an opportunity to change the world forever and the better, forever for the better, yeah, not a bad idea. It's like start there, And it's like a cup of coffee. It's nothing to go to the show, but it is changing the world.
Yep.
We had an event last night for a very difficult cancer, very small cancer. Small cancers don't get funding. We partnered with an organization last night with Gary Sinise, and he lost his son to a very rare cancer. And again, we just partnered with him last night to change that cancer forever.
That's incredible.
And the lead researcher from MD Anderson was there. And that's what we do. We just fund really smart people to solve problems.
That's incredible, Scott. That's incredible.
And it's never a problem until it knocks on your door.
I know.
Bad things only happen to other people.
Until they happen to you.
Right.
That is so true.
I've learned that in
Many
living
times.
color.
You've
Yeah.
learned that many
But it's
times.
fine because every one of those has brought me here.
Well, you've let it teach you. A lot of people can't learn the lesson and can't learn the higher message. You have.
No.
And that is
Thank
an act
you.
of God. True.
Thank you.
And that's like letting God in to see the bigger picture. And that's very brave to be able to get there and to be able to open up and get there. And you have, and you've let your life become this beautiful tapestry of all your experiences because of it.
Well, thank you.
I always wrap up with leave your light, and it's just super straightforward. But what inspiration do you want to leave with people?
Oh man, I guess based on everything we've talked about, it's just let the challenges of your life do the work. Allow them to take you to places beyond your wildest expectations. You know, it's we wake up when we're threatened. All of a sudden, the adrenaline kicks in. You know, we're more aware of things. But you know, whatever is going on in your life, allow those challenges to do the work to make you stronger, deeper, and more alive than ever. It's really easy to go into dig yourself a hole and throw yourself a gigantic pity party.
And be like, I hate this. How could this happen to me? This isn't fair. All those things, which you will feel.
Mm-hmm.
But then...
It's fine to feel that.
Yeah.
But then you go, but this is an opportunity to grow.
It's an opportunity. Wow.
And as soon as you realize that this life isn't the end, then that changes everything as well. So, you know, I just let your challenges do the work.
That's amazing.
And, you know, there's going to be parts of your life that you don't like. And this is what I tell my kids all the time. I always ask them, what's the greatest strength? Because I had to figure this thing out. And a lot of people try to put it on the strength, right? Well, if you're the strongest, well, it didn't work out for Samson, you know, right? And if you're the smartest, well, here's the greatest strength is a lack of weakness. Figure out where you're weak and get strong. That's it.
Scott Hamilton.
Get strong. Get strong. Just get strong.
You are incredible. Thank you for your life. Thank you for sharing your story so openly. And thank you for changing the world in such a profound way. It is such an honor that I got to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
And November 23rd, Scott Hamilton and Friends event at Bridgestone Arena. Everyone get their tickets now.
Rock and roll. It's going to be every song was a massive hit with all these Olympic champion skaters. It's sensory overload at the highest level, and you won't regret coming. So be there.
I love it. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Bye.